Hello, David. What's on your mind?
I've just been listening all day, basically, and every single one who you've actually spoke to is just so far left. It's actually ridiculous, where everyone's labelling people who are going to go and attend this United Kingdom march as racist, and I think these are all out of order for actually labelling the majority, as you keep putting it, being racist on there. They're sticking up for the actual United Kingdom, whereas the Palestine march has got nothing to do with our country whatsoever. The people who are causing all this stuff against the Jewish people, they aren't English, they aren't Christians, they're not British, they're Islamists or Muslims, and this does not get cast off.
Can I come back on a couple of things you said? I will let you speak again, David, I promise. I certainly haven't said on this programme that everyone on the United Kingdom march is a racist. I pushed back hard against my guest from Hope Not Hate when he was suggesting that they are. I reflected on people who called Nick this week to say they're just ordinary Brits who want to stand up for the United Kingdom the way you sound like you want to. And equally, what you said about the pro-Palestinian marches, there are plenty of British people on that march. And just because they have a deep feeling or connection to the people of Palestine, they've got every right to march about that issue, every bit as much as you've got the right to march about your issues.
No, but the problem is, the one gold is green. I know I can't mention anything about it because it's an ongoing case and stuff.
But it's clear that people were hurt, yeah.
No, but straight from the get-go, as soon as the guy was arrested, every single publication network or news, you've all listed him as a British national before you admitted he was Italian. Now, that is a bad thing to do to the rest of us.
But David, I was there, I was working, I didn't do that because the moment we got the information about the identity of the person who's alleged to have carried out that attack, we were told straight away that he was Somali-born British national.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is nobody listed that first. You didn't come, not you just personally, the other news
No, but that
network.
but the very first indication we got of his identity from the police included both of those things, and we included both of those things. We didn't say, he's a British man. We didn't say that.
No, British national, the first thing. He isn't British, he's Somalian, who happens to have changed over to living in our country.
No, but that was included in the description of him, David.
No, but that's not British people doing it to these people. It's always to do with a Muslim or Islamist who are doing these things.
Well,
why are we being anti-Semitic in this country? It's never happened before.
It has happened before. It has happened before, going back centuries.
But you can't keep going back by centuries.
No, but what? It never went away, is what I'm saying. It's been given a whole new life, for sure.
Was that British and English people being anti-Semitic, though?
Yes, it was.
Who were these people, though? Because as far as it's never been an issue with the British or English people. It's Muslims and Islamists. It has,
David. I'm afraid it has been an issue with British people and Irish people, Christian people against Jews in Britain, going back many centuries. And I'm sorry, but the whole blood libel against Jews started in this country. White Christians against Jews. I'm afraid, David. I hear your passion for your country. I hear that you just want to come and stand for your country, but you'd be well to take a little look at the history of anti-Semitism in this country. It certainly didn't start with Islam. I think Islamism is now propagating it big style in this country, and too many people have made space for it in this country. But just, if you don't want to be regarded as a racist on that march, if you attend it, then just check out your history of anti-Semitism in this country, I would say. It's 3:16.
Tom Swab.
Lots of you wanting to talk about this, whether we're a divided kingdom or not, and is cracking down on the Unite the Kingdom march in the way that we're seeing. There will be facial recognition cameras used for the first time in a protest, only in that particular march. There will be responsibilities on both march organisers for the behaviour of the people in the march, so they could face sanction depending on the level of extremism or hate that may be expressed by members of each march. But slightly different policing and judicial moves against each march. So, for example, 11 far-right activists have been banned from entering the country in order to attend that march. That's just one example. Perry's called from Crawley. Hello, Perry.
Hello, Sheila. Good afternoon.
Hello, Steve.
So I just wanted to put my perspective over after the phone call from Joe.
Yeah.
I completely got to disagree with him because I was at the march last year and I'll be going tomorrow. I'm not racist. I work for the National Health Service.
So just to be clear, the Unite the Kingdom march you're going to?
Correct, yes. Sorry, yes.
Right.
So I will be attending that tomorrow on Saturday. But there's no racism from my part whatsoever. Yes, you'll have a minority... but from my side,
a minority of what? Of racists?
Yeah, you'll have some people who don't like certain cultures, but not everybody can be tarnished with that brush. And I can send you some footage, Sheila, of the two-tier policing. I was trapped in the middle of the Palestine, and obviously the other march, and the police had to protect us from the Palestine people who were throwing glass bottles.
The pro-Palestine protesters, you mean, when you say
yes,
Palestine?
Yes,
people, yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
there were 25 arrests and 26 police officers were injured, several of them seriously injured, and to the point where the Prime Minister felt the need to put out a post and say, protest peacefully or you will feel the full force of the law. So clearly there was violence on that march.
Absolutely. I've got footage of the violence. I've got footage, but the violence, Sheila, I promise you, was not coming from the Tommy Robinson side.
How can you say that so definitively? I ask you that, not least because the Prime Minister, sorry, not the Prime Minister at the time, Peter Kyle, Cabinet Minister, said people who attacked and injured police officers at that march would face the legal consequences. So they clearly had evidence, or thought they had evidence, that individuals in that march had attacked police officers. Because you didn't see it, doesn't mean it didn't happen necessarily, Perry.
No, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I assisted with some of the injuries, what happened on that day as working with the NHS. But what I see was not coming from the Tommy Robinson side.
How important is it, do you think, that these groups are kept completely apart at the weekend?
Sheila, it should be one on the Saturday and one on the Sunday. They should not be allowed to do it at the same time. It will prevent the clashes. And I can assure you, when I was in Trafalgar Square, what the police done, when we say two-tier policing, they had put a row of police officers in between us to allow the Palestine protesters to walk past us to go to their part, but wouldn't allow some of the protesters to go to the Tommy Robinson part. It was honestly a shambles.
Remind me, was yours a march or a static protest then?
So we was a march from Euston train station to Parliament Square. We got to the bridge, Sheila, and we got to the front of the bridge, and the police closed it.
Westminster Bridge.
Correct, yes. Yeah. And said, no, too many can't come. I said, OK, that's fine. What's the plan B? They said there isn't one. So everyone turned around and headed back to Waterloo and went over Millennium Bridge, and we ended up in Trafalgar Square where the pro-Palestinians were.
And
there was clashes, Sheila, but I've got to say...
Why do there need to be clashes, Perry? If on the one side it's people just speaking on the part of the Palestinian people, and if on the other side it's people just saying, God, I love Britain, and I'm going to protest against things that I think are bad for it. Well, why are we throwing punches?
Do you know what, Sheila? I don't want any punches thrown. I want love and harmony within our, United Kingdom. But there was winding up from both sides. But when the bottles started getting, thrown into the crowds, thrown at police officers, it was only coming from one side, and then the other side did react. And
Perry, why do you attend?
For me, it's the pride of living in the United Kingdom.
Why can't you just feel that and put the telly on a Saturday? Why do you have to go?
I think we've lost that now, Sheila. I think I voted Labour, but I won't be voting Labour this year.
Have you become a Reform supporter?
I have.
And is it about just love of country, or is it about specifics in your country that you want to see changed?
For me, Sheila, I want us all to be able to walk out like we did 10 years ago and be free and not have to think of, anything that could happen to us, whether that be, these crazy murders, what's happening in London, or I just want us to be...
The rate of homicide in London has gone down, Perry, in the last 10 years. The rate of homicides in London has gone down.
And that's a good, it's good, but we're still getting stabbings, Sheila.
We are getting stabbings, for sure. And the rate of it is appalling, particularly amongst young people. And there are all kinds of things that are problems in our country. But they haven't magically appeared in the last 10 years, I don't think, Perry. But thank you very much for your call. Kevin in Finchley, hello.
Hello. I think Perry, I am a black Brit, born in London. Hopefully I am part of the United Kingdom that you hope to see in the future. I'm not sure, but hopefully I think reform, obviously, parts of reform would prefer if I wasn't around, but I'm here. Right. Okay. So listen, really it starts at the top. So the politicians have to be consistent with how they approach this. What I mean by that is Kemi Badenoch was asked if she would ban the United Kingdom march, and she said no, and but she wants to ban the pro-Palestinian marches, right? So. And she was just black and white about it.
I thought that was weak.
That will fuel resentment. That's not helping the Jewish population, by the way. Absolutely is not. Because what they'll see is say, okay, so Kemi Badenoch and also Reform Nigel Farage are on the side of the Jewish people, whereas Jack Palahniuk is on the side of, say, Muslims and black people like me. That's wrong. They need to be consistent. They need to show some leadership, because otherwise all they're doing is pitting us against each other. I live in Finchley, which is, as you know, it has a large Jewish population. I take my daughter to school every morning. I drive past a Jewish school and it has security, and I absolutely hate seeing this. In my London, who I was born and bred up with as a black man, sorry, Perry, in my city, okay, born and bred, I absolutely seeing my Jewish neighbours who are scared, and at the same time, I am so upset that my Muslim neighbours, who are obviously
Muslim, are scared
as well. Yeah. Exactly. We need the politicians need to stop using us for political expediency and be consistent, because that will, number one, stop resentment, and then guess what? If I see a Jewish person on the road followed and they're being attacked, all that, I'm going to support them because I know what hatred is as a black man. Yeah, the Jewish brother is my brother. I will support them. But what I don't want, and this really upset me when Nigel Farage went to Golders Green and he was praised. And he was cracked. And I thought to myself, hold on, this is the guy who's presiding over a party where there are certain elements that are pretty dark and ugly. Why are you clapping for this guy? We need to be consistent.
They're not the only party that have dark and ugly elements, though, are they? I mean, Labour's only just about cleansed itself officially, if not totally, of anti-Semitism.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, Paul Starmer, I think he's done a fabulous job. He's just not very good at communicating it. But, I mean, I think for me, the first call, I think the gentleman was somewhere up north. I mean, he sounded, I think he was saying, oh, no, it's just, Muslims or Islamists. I can tell him now that, unfortunately, there are white British people on the far right who are anti-Semitic and say horrific stuff. Yeah. So I just think, for me, can we be consistent, please? That's all I want.
Yeah, I think you've spoken so eloquently because, and again, it echoes a bit of what Keir Starmer was saying. I side with decency. I side with rationality, decency, and giving people space to express themselves. If when they express themselves, they incite violence or hatred, no thank you. That's it. That's my philosophy on protest and marches. That's it. And I've seen on both of sets of these protests, hatred and violence. That doesn't mean the entirety of the people there are guilty of that, but I've seen it on both. And what we all have to decide, this relatively silent majority, although I'm on the radio every day, I can hardly claim to be silent, but you know what I mean, is choose decency, rationality and neighbourliness, and you should be okay.
Yes.
And defend people around you. As you say, step in. If a Muslim person was being attacked, I would help them. If a Jewish person was being attacked, I would help them. If a white British man was being attacked, I would help him. If I could, and if it felt sensible to do so. Do you know what I mean? We've got to stop, get these identity scales off our eyes.
Absolutely, Sheila. And it just frustrates me that some politicians are using it for political expediency to get votes to try and tarnish other parties. Kemi Badenoch, as a woman of Nigerian heritage, even though she probably hates me saying this, but she is a black woman of Nigerian heritage. She needs to step up and stop being divisive with her rhetoric.
Okay, thank you very much, Kevin, for your call. Let's leave it there for now. Kevin in Finchley. Let's get more of your calls after the news headlines.